Michael, first off, let's just talk about the blackout this weekend. Do you feel it's going to make a real difference? And do you understand the reasons behind it and why it's important to so many people?
Yeah, well, absolutely to both of them. I certainly hope it does make a difference because something needs to happen. There needs to be a change. It's too easy to do what some of these people are doing. And yeah, I think, like I say, I think everyone involved in sport, it's good to see so many different sports involved, not just obviously football, where footballers seem to be an easy target for some reason. But yeah, it's great to see everyone involved, and I hope it does make a big difference because it's not just 24 hours; it's pretty much 3 days or whatever it is. So hopefully that will be enough to get people to sort of take notice, basically.
And I guess it's as well as talking about the issue of racism and discriminatory behaviour, it's also about the general abuse. Is that something that you've suffered? I know you're not a big social media user, but in day-to-day life, have you experienced that in the past in your career?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't do Twitter and these things, for these type of reasons. Why would I want to put myself in a situation where people can say, not nice things about me? I get it, I understand it, because social media really, it should be used, and if it's used properly, it could be a very, very powerful thing and a good thing for someone to use. But my wife uses it, my family use it, a lot, and that they've told me on many occasions where there's been some unpleasant things said about me, but because I don't know about it and don't read it and don't see it sort of in my face, I'm one of the ones who can deal with it reasonably well, and yeah, it's one certainly that I'm aware of because of sort of players I've managed or players I've sort of played with who have either been abused, whether it be racially or from a discrimination point of view, or just in general in terms of, you can see people who may have had a poor performance at the weekend, and even when it's sort of just talking about performance, there's certain people out there that sort of go beyond just telling someone that they had a poor game. They have to take it personally.
And do you sometimes have to warn the players of that, especially if it has been a poor Saturday afternoon, the kind of stay off social media? Does that have to be part of the rules after a match day, or do you just trust your players to make their own judgment?
Yeah, I think you've got to put a little bit of trust in the players. At the end of the day, once they come into a first team environment, not all players, but most players are, at 18 or over. I know there's a few exceptions up and down the country at times, and we've had that a little bit early on this season with Sean before he turned 18. But I think that, yeah, you've got to give them that little bit of trust, and all we can do is sort of educate them a little bit and remind them that even subconsciously something that's said that isn't particularly nice about them, if they think that they've been able to deal with it quite well, they consciously might think they have, but subconsciously, their body language or how they portray themselves might look a little bit different because of that. I mean, I remember back in the day, obviously, when I was playing before social media was really around, if you got a 6 out of 10 in the paper on a Sunday, how devastating you'd be. So I can imagine, how some players and some sort of managers and coaches would take not just criticism, but obviously, one of the wider sort of schemes is obviously the racial abuse, which is just, completely unacceptable.
Let's move on to the subject of money, because we had the news last night that the £500,000 has been put into the football club by your vice chairman, Jay Wright. I know that's not necessarily going to mean 500 grand for you to go and spend on a centre forward, but in the grand scheme of things, it's great news for the football club because it might just allow you a little bit of extra money, might it?
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, obviously, I'm aware that, excuse me, this season, clearly he's put a big hole in the football club in terms of the financial side of it, and probably more importantly put a big hole in Clive's pocket because of the fact that we've not had any supporters in the stadium. I think Clive deserves a lot of sort of credit for being able to keep the club in a pretty strong place, in a pretty stable place, and there's not many chairmen who will come out and admit that the budget's been slashed by 40%. A lot of chairmen would be trying to defend that or try and smoke screen that a little bit, and there's not many chairmen who come out and say we've got a budget that's in the bottom half of the table and us sitting there further in the table. A lot of them try to protect themselves at times, but he's an honest man. He's got a lot of humility, and that's one of the reasons why I enjoy working with him. So from that point of view, I think it'll be pleasing for him, and delighted that Jay's shown that I suppose trust as well in myself, in the club, in Clive, and the rest of the board, etc. And let's hope it's the start of many more investments that come into the football club, because if we want to grow the football club and take the football club on, yes, there's one thing doing what we're doing this season and trying to continue the recruitment, but Rob, you're not daft. At the end of the day, to do that you need money. For us to continue to compete at the top end of this table, you've only got to look at some of the clubs that are in it this season. Look at some of the clubs that are more than likely going to be coming down into the division next year if we're not lucky enough to go up. So it's going to get harder and harder. So for us to sort of stay there and compete, we're going to need some injection of cash.
You've worked on my side of football as well as at the management side, and you're not a manager who tends to talk about budgets or money or says that you need more money for this or need more money for that. Why do you decide not to do that? And are you a manager who, when he gets given his budget, doesn't then go back to the chairman going, can I have an extra 100 grand? Or do you just go, right, that's the pot of money I've got, this is what I'm going to do with it?
Yeah, I'm very much clarity. Listen, if it's a budget that I'm not sort of particularly happy with in terms of, well, that's not enough. At the end of the day, I'd like to think that, we're working on the same hymn sheet. So, if I put it this way, if I was a chairman and I went to my manager, that's what I can do. I'm not going to sort of give him less or less than what I'm capable of doing, because at the end of the day, we both want the same thing. We both want success, and we want to do as well as we possibly can. So whether it's a good budget or a bad budget, I'm happy to sort of take it on the chin. I think that the transparency around the budget is really important, and that's what I like about the club, is that they've been very, very transparent at the start of the season to say, look, this is what happened because of the pandemic. We've had to cut the budget by 40%, because then the expectations are exactly where they should be. Now, obviously, we've done better than all our expectations this year, and it's been brilliant, and we can hopefully be rewarded by that at some point. But I think that transparency across the board, with fans, with boards, with management, with players. But this is where we are. We know where we are. We're not going to be greedy. We're not going to try and be something we're not. And then you're not putting the club at risk.
On footballing matters, your two centre halves, Joe Walsh and Adam Jackson, either of them available tomorrow?
Unfortunately not, no. There's a small chance that Walshy will be available for Tuesday. The Adam Jackson one, we haven't had the results back yet, but he was going for an MRI. I thought it was Wednesday evening, but it was yesterday. So we'll find out more today in terms of the results that come back from that. For some reason, these symptoms are not sort of slowing down, and they're not going. So that's a little bit frustrating. But the Joe Walsh one is much more positive. We'll hopefully have him around on Tuesday. Injury-wise,
anybody else struggling?
No, obviously Brennan come off the other night with a hamstring complaint. It looks like we got it and we brought him off early enough, so it looks like it wasn't a full-on strain as such. He's not going to be available tomorrow, but he potentially may be available for Tuesday. If not, should be definitely available for next weekend.
Does the results in midweek for yourself and for Peterborough change how you approach the game tomorrow, with a little bit more now at stake in terms of automatic promotion potential?
I think it's one of them, Rob, where I could say yes, but the reality is that, you know, I think I've changed it a little bit over the last couple of games, and the fact that we've got a result the other night gives me an opportunity to freshen up it again. But at the same time, you know, you just said it there, where there's a small chance, and there is a very, very small chance, then we have to give it our best shot. And the reality is we're playing a top side, so, you know, I don't want to go there and get well beaten. You know, that's a fact. Listen, at the end of the day, if we go there and win the game, I do expect Peterborough to take care of what they need to do in the last game, and, you know, and that's not being disrespectful to Doncaster in any way, because I know it was a very, very tough game, and it was a good game. You know, we actually watched it, you know, yesterday, and it was a good game, football, and I'm sure it'll be another good game. But all I do want to do, if possible, and I say if possible, is try and win the next two games, and you know, really make Peterborough work the socks off to get that top two spot.
I was going to say 15 minutes to go tomorrow if the scores are level. Is it the kind of game where you will end up trying to push for the 3 points, even though you know that point can secure a playoff space?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I mean, like I say, if you know, that small chance that we do have, I think sometimes risk and reward, you've got to go for it. And I think it's been an Achilles heel, certainly in the earlier part of my career, where we were winning games at other clubs and ended up drawing because I was trying to get the second goal, and it cost me a little bit. But I would rather be that type, if I'm being honest. I think hopefully over a 25, 30-year career in management, it'll work for me more than against me.